Hi, I'm Benjamin Bernstein with astroshaman.com. My video today is about embracing imperfection. You want imperfection? Look at that crazy sleeve. Look how worn that is. I got imperfection. I'm wearing it. So there is a part of me that really wants to be perfect. And I've been on the spiritual path for over 40 years. And some of the paths I've walked have talked about becoming a perfected being. Don't think it's going to happen this lifetime. Even as I get older into my 60s now, I see parts of myself that just don't function as well as they used to. Body, memory, etc. is just part of the body. And I've finally gotten comfortable with the idea that I'm just not going to be perfect down here. The human realm isn't about perfection. It's about doing well. I mean, do the best you can and accept that perfection is not achievable. So I only bring this up because I've worked with quite a few clients and coaching clients lately who tell me that it's so tough for them to get past the whole perfection thing. There's a part of them that thinks it has to be just absolutely perfect, and they're a failure. In my upbringing, nothing I did was ever good enough. I'd bring up a 4.0 report card. My dad would say, "Is that the best you can do?" And was only half kidding. One thing that's really helped me with this is getting into internal family systems therapy. I love this idea because it says we have many parts within us. There's a self, the divine aspect, the one ring that rules them all, I like to call it, and then many dozens of subpersonalities. And one of those subpersonalities within me says, it's got to be perfect. And I used to let that drive me a lot more, but now I say, okay, I can be self and see that little part that needs to be perfect and say, okay, I hear you. I thank you for your opinion. And the self can choose to go or not go with anything one of the parts says. My chart has plenty of perfectionistic elements. I've got a moon in Virgo. If there's a perfectionistic sign, it would be Virgo that likes everything perfectly buttoned up and in its place and to the highest level. Even my sixth house in my chart is loaded. That's the Virgo flavored house for everybody, and a lot of energy of perfectionism in there as well. So it's taken me a while to chill out. I did learn finally that in the time it was taking me to hyper perfect one thing, I could do like 10 other things well enough. And I've gotten to where well enough is fine with me. Based on my reading and research and personal experience, I've really come to embrace that perfectionism is more of a disease than something to really be aspired to. Of course, I want things to be done well. I want them to serve their purpose well, even with elegance and beauty. But perfect, that's a big one to stretch for. Unless perfect is absolutely realistically required for the job, then I'm letting go and just doing it well enough. Even in my business training, I was surprised at first to see that there's this idea of minimum viable product, MVP, where you just get it out there good enough and you develop it as you go. My Awakening Plus membership, for example, I put it together the best I could when I launched it, but in retrospect, oh my God, look at all these missing pieces. And that was not thought through well enough, but I couldn't see that until I'd launched it. So you get started, you upgrade, you constantly improve. I'm all about constant improvement. I had a wonderful sales manager back many years ago when I was a salesperson, and he said, being the best salesperson isn't about doing one thing 1,000% better. It's about doing 1,000 things 1% better. I'm all about constant incremental improvement, but the very fact of that incremental improvement lets you know perfection is never achieved. Even in my awakening, about 10 years ago, I had this abiding awakening, and it was fabulous. And at the moment, I was wondering if I'd hit the jackpot already. It was a bliss so far beyond anything I'd ever known. And since then, every now and again, the awakening goes up a level. And so perfect awakening, I can't even know how far it goes. You can only know what you're aware of. And I just have a sense there's a whole lot more that I haven't got to yet, but there's no way for Benjamin the human to know until he gets to a level of what it's even about. So even the spiritual awakening, I'm not sure it can be perfected in this lifetime. Maybe there's a handful of beings who can get that, but I don't think that's going to be my experience this lifetime. But I just wanted to get across the idea, if you're of that mindset, it has to be perfect or it's not good enough. And especially if you're one of those people who makes yourself hold to such a high level of standard that it literally cannot be reached. I mean, you might think, yeah, I'm just trying to be really good. But if your striving is making you miserable and unhappy, and there's never any satisfaction or joy taken in what you've achieved, that's not helping you. So please do it well enough, do it at a good level of quality, but don't go crazy. And it probably doesn't have to be perfect. So that's my message for today. If you're interested in working with me, go to astroshaman.com. There you'll find out about my services with astrology, shamanic healing, awakening activation, and more. And if you'd like to check out my spiritual membership, where you can have all sorts of wonderful tools for your personal healing and awakening, and you can also help support the Great Global Awakening, check out awakeningplus.com. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you infinite blessings.